To continue the saga, to go on with the saga of Tim Lambesis' now dead in the water, As I Lay Dying. Ex-AsILaydying guitarist Ken Susi breaks silence on band's collapse and Tim Lambesis' scandal. Um, yeah, so Susie made his statements during an interview on the Brutally Speaking podcast, where he discusses his reasons for leaving the band, Lambesis' mental state, and the overall instability that led to AsILaydying's collapse. Hey, that's one of their songs. Um, During his interview on the Brutally Speaking podcast, Ken Susi spoke about his departure from AsILaydying and provided his perspective on the controversial Tim Lambesis footage that recently emerged. The footage allegedly showed Lambesis in heated arguments with his then wife and abusing his dog, sparking outrage online, leading to a petition demanding an official investigation that has amassed over 68,000 signatures. He also addresses Lambesis' behavior, calling his redemption arc a well-crafted and well-thought-out persona designed to regain support from his fans. So, yeah, pretty crazy. Came out. We're gonna listen to some of it, and that's crazy. Thousands did petition for him to be invested for animal cruelty. It Petition brings up his past that includes serving a prison sentence, trying to hire a hitman to kill his estranged wife, and the turnover in the lineup of AsILaydying with the comments made by his bandmates upon their departures last year. The petition also requests that California authorities mandate mental health counseling for the singer. Fucking put him somewhere, man. God needs help. I mean, jail, yeah, of course. Let's do that again. Maybe just longer. Or just a mental health facility. You still have time, man. Hitting yourself and stuff like that's just not normal. Um, yeah. Pretty crazy. But yeah, let's go ahead and listen to Ken Susi's part in it. As far as like the way things ended and just the overall drama of it. So it's just audio, no video. So this is on the Brutally Speaking podcast.
Necessarily like don't get along with people. Like I like to like see people smile. I always like to crack jokes. So I'm not really like I don't bounce from bands to bands. I'm not a guitar will travel kind of person, right?
Right.
But basically what I can do is I can speak to the experience of what I witnessed during my time in AsILaydying from like 2021 to 2024. And I can even speak a little bit to like what I witnessed before I was even in the band or just touring with them over the years. I mean, I met Tim, I would say probably back in 2002 or something, or 2001 when I was still in a van and Unearth was like, we just put out, our eulogy record, Things of Conscious. So I known him from back then. But I think a lot of the information that I'm going to talk about is probably already public. But I think at this time, people need to know that, like, I don't think it's fair. And Tim being like a litigious person, and silencing everybody around the band in the particular situation that we're all in, it's obviously clear, like, the people that are close to him and who are not speaking. And I think fans think it's kind of weird why people are not talking. But in my opinion, I think it's unacceptable for Tim to go on like podcasts with his friends and make false claims about like how the band broke up and,
Damn, calling him out, like, damn, saying none of this shit is true. I had a feeling like just everything he's saying was a lie, like just not true and litigious. I mean, is he threatening to fucking sue them for saying something? That's fucking insane if that's the case.
Believe what you want, but my version of what happened totally doesn't align with basically what he's been out there saying and putting out statements about, right? So I really don't personally want to get into a back and forth with Tim Lambesis, but and I'm not really gonna I really don't want to respond per se to what.
Fight him, bro. Fucking no, he get fucked up, dude. Tim Lambesis is huge. So like, I don't know. Maybe Ken Susi's more scrappy. Well, if he's muscular, but after at some point, what's your mobility like? Ken Susi might be a little bit quicker if I can do one of his jumps off the speaker and kick him in the face.
What he said in the breakup and all that stuff, like it's just not what I'm here to do. But I think the band just found ourselves in a position where we were essentially endorsing and promoting somebody with like a history to like, past accusations and he went to prison and all that stuff and he did what he did.
Yeah, but you knew that going in, Ken. You knew that going in. You were good with fucking Unearthed, man. That's where I knew you from. That's where I grew up watching this motherfucker play on stage and that Apocalypse fucking Live at the Apocalypse DVD was my shit. Every time I drank and hang out with my friends, I always played the whole fucking DVD. I listened to other stuff at some point, but I always put on the DVD at some point and we just jammed the shit out of it.
But like after his incarceration, it was almost like, I did kind of see this coming. Like he, in my opinion, he like formulated this like almost like, reality TV, persona for his fan base of like him portraying himself of this like man of redemption or rehabilitation. And like, it really gave those people that really do believe in that, this like sense of like, I can get behind this guy and do the thing that, that he says that he is. And I can overachieve, I can, overcome the things that I've endured in my life and, and like giving people hope. But like, to be totally honest with you, it's, as I said, it's like well-crafted and well thought out. I really,
I wanted to give him a chance, but I mean, some of the songs that came out were just kind of like blah, whatever, and it just, there were kind of things that were happening. I've been kind of covering it since the beginning, since some of the old band members were starting to leave, went over the whole thing, and we'll see what happens. And here we are like 2 years later and shit's blowing up.
really don't believe, in my opinion, I really don't believe it's a real thing, in his world, but maybe he can speak to that. But, going back to the band, a lot of troubling issues like kind of surfaced within the band in his personal life, like, surface in his personal life, but also with the band, leading the band like into it. And we were like, just basically, supporting somebody dealing with serious problems. And we were unaware of how serious those problems were at the time. And when we figured, when the band actually, it revealed himself and the band figured it out, that's when, we really realized that, I believe and we believe that Tim was, in need of professional help. And it was something that we were not able to provide or equipped to provide to him. And because we're not like therapists and we're not relationship experts, we're none of that, right? We're just band dudes like looking to play gigs and have a good time. And we were really kind of, a lot of us felt a lot of like regret when we figured out exactly what was going on, and when the band evaporated.
Yeah, damn, dude. Yeah, I mean, said y'all should have thought about that, man. Like, y'all believed it too. Whatever persona he had, you guys believed it. Or if you kind of knew it was just a persona at the time, then that's kind of fucked up too. But I mean, I guess if you know people for so long, it's kind of hard, But yeah, I don't know. You guys kind of fucked up a little bit, because now he just doesn't have a band, I mean, maybe he can go back to Unearth, but you fucked up by leaving, dude. But you live and you learn, right?
Something I would maybe ask you now, kind of being on the other side of this, is, obviously any new relationship, it's good when it's new and you're kind of in that honeymoon phase. Were there signs maybe even during then that you can see now that were happening that maybe you just kind of, all of you had blinders to because it was new and it was exciting and it's you're playing bigger gigs than maybe, you know, you personally had played in maybe quite a while. Was there kind of a little bit of that going on, you think, that you, to where you didn't notice the cracks kind of in the foundation initially happening?
You know what? A lot of musicians, you know, that have been duped, or people that are in situations like this may say like, oh yeah, it's like a Hallmark movie. I never knew that this gentleman wasn't Prince Charming, and then, you know, and then oh my God, he killed my cat, and then, you know, he murdered my family, just picking out a fictitious like Hallmark movie. But I knew exactly what I was getting into when I got into it. And the funny thing is that I do really love the internet, because everyone has the freedom of speech, you know, and everyone can say whatever they want. And the keyboard warriors out there, like, I appreciate the negative and the positive, but people on the internet are right. Ken Susi, you know, aligned himself with this guy. You know, he obviously had a past record, and what did you expect? That's the easy, simple way of people like justifying what happened and trying to like portray me or corner me into a certain type of persona. But what I will say is, for those that don't know, is that you're not here. You know, you're not me. I spent 25 years touring. I met this guy in the early thousands, before the from the 1900s, right, into the 2000s. I met this guy. So that says how long ago I've known this guy. I've done multiple tours with him. And, you know, at the time, he was the first person I called, Nick Hippa. I was like, are you okay with me doing this? That shows and got out and are stellar people. So if I miss an opportunity, or, you know, or if I don't support somebody in that time, then I'm a jerk. And I really did want to kind of, you know, I like Phil. And at the time I was supposed to be in the band and his family. And he, you know, he basically told me what I needed to know, and I wasn't dumb to it. And I knew what I was getting into. And that's why I was never like really an official member. So I was moonlighting in that band, and there was never an official statement that like the guys that were in the band, the new iteration, as Jordan Mancino calls the scab lineup, you know, we all, like, maybe the other guys were fooled, but I wasn't, because I have a long history of friendship with their past management.
Well, at least he's taking some sort of like accountability, but it's like, dude, you fucking knew. You knew this was a bunch of bullshit and you did it anyway. Oh man, Ken, my boy, why? Why, dude? I know he's your friend, but shit, dude.
I know, you know, the guys in the band, you know, so I heard all the stories and I knew everything that I needed to know going into it. So, yep, the internet, technically right. The only thing I wish I could have done differently was I probably shouldn't have went on the Josta podcast. I said it before, and vouch for him, because I really did see some, like, a few positive things. Like Tim, on a day-to-day basis, like when he's left to his own devices, is like you would think a functional normal member of any band, you know. And I didn't really see too much of the relationship stuff up front. But also I'm very, like, I don't know how to explain it, but I'm very East Coast. I have thick skin, and I don't really pay attention to noise as much as other people do. But when things become apparent, that's when you're like, all right, well, I just saw the signs and I'm witnessing this. I was basically a paid employee, you know, I wasn't a part of the band. So I was just kind of like, oh, red flag. I don't want to be a part of this. This is stupid. I'm not aligning my brand and myself with this. We can all sit here online and say, oh, I have a friend and, you know, he went to jail and he did well and blah, blah, blah. Well, guess what? Like, in this scenario, that's not the case. And in other scenarios, it is the case. But I had to see that for myself, and let me be the voice of the people and say, I was in the cave, and I'm coming out and I'm telling everybody what's in the cave.
Yeah. I just feel like that has been, for me, one of my biggest struggles with,
like, everyone always, it's not about the TV reality, ecosystem is kind of like, yes, this person has talent, but it's the story. What disease do they have? What have they endured? Like, what is going to bring them to the finish line, and what can we rally behind? Ken Susi would ever support that particular project as if he wasn't a part of it. Other than that, I'm done. I'm completely. What's the meme online? I too have quit As I Lay Dying this week,
Yeah.
or whatever. You know what I mean? I'll say that having been there, having known all the people in the bands, I was honoring the project for what it was. I thought I was doing it like justice by being a named person, like a guy within the industry, to give it credibility for all the people that.
Oh. So you're just kind of someone that he brought on to kind of have this piece of like, oh look, Ken Susi's there. Like, AsILaydying is cool again, you know. Let's forget about the fucking abuse. Damn, or that not really abuse, but just straight up trying to murder somebody. You know, that's fucking insane, dude.
He feels he's done no wrong. He can go get fucking YouTube guitar players and drummers and shit and make them sign NDAs or do whatever the fuck he's gonna do. Have at it, dude. I just refuse to think anyone's gonna follow that after the fourth, fifth strike on you. They can't love the band that much. There's a limit to these things. And to be totally honest with you, dude, I'll even get into like why the band. Like I'm here to tell you. I know it's not supposed to be like an AsILaydying thing, but I'll tell you everything that I've witnessed. If you want to ask the questions, I'll answer what I've witnessed because no one can come after me legally. And that's the thing that I can attest to is the things that.
Come on, Ken, spill the fucking beans, man. You've just been talking about like friends. He's my friends. I was a patsy to make us, normalize AsILaydying again. Make AsILaydying great again. God damn it, Ken. God damn it. But all right, spill the beans.
That I've witnessed. I'm not going to speculate. I'm not going to defame anybody, but I'm going to go out and say that Tim, personally, with his statements after the band, have I don't know, just depicted me and the other bandmates as unstable and just not like, it defamed my character. The guy wrote something along the lines of like, Phil quit later, and the band took Phil's side, and others rushed to statements when they were worried about rumors that were circulating. Like that was on November 4th, right? He wrote that on the personal AsILaydying page to a fan that was commenting about stuff. That was incredibly incorrect. I think the 25 years that I've been in the band, I've been pretty fucking vocal and honest to people. And I wouldn't quit over a rumor. Christ, I was in the band with a guy that plenty of rumors circulate about.
Yeah, it's not even, well, he might just say it right now, but those weren't rumors. He went to jail for it. He was found guilty of trying to murder his wife. That's not a rumor. That's just what happened.
If you want to know what exactly happened and why the band broke up, is because we were at Metal Fest, and we had the greatest fucking time in my kitchen. We had all the band members, all the crew, everybody, and a few people were staying at a hotel, and then me being a good host after the festival. Now, mind you, him and his wife, they weren't vibing on tour. Things, we were unsure if his wife was even going to come to this like short weekend of shows. But I'm going to say they were staying at a hotel down the street, and I offered. I said, hey, you're going to go get a tattoo. My wife works from home. I got to go to Fishman. If your wife wants to just chill all day, my wife and your wife are friends. You're welcome to just stay here and save the money, and you can use one of our cars. You don't have to rent a car. Like, just go do your thing. But what ended up happening is, my wife and I are having a kid. She's putting a bassinet, together right now as beyond the screen. But we just announced to my whole family that we're having a baby. We got my mother crying, my father crying. Tim's wife is witnessing this, taking video in our house. Like it was a joyous occasion the day after Metal Fest. And then within 2-3 hours later, there was like an incident where, now mind you, I'm just gonna pick up the fucking camera right now. I got these huge honking security cameras all over the house.
Let's go.
And a label on the front door saying you're being filmed 24/7, right? And this guy like comes into my house in the middle of the night, corners his wife in my kitchen, and spits in her face. And then
fuck, dude. Damn. Fuck. I feel like spitting in someone's face is I don't know why that's just like the worst thing. Even like hitting them, well, yeah, of course that's bad, but I don't know, something about spitting on them is just like the ultimate disrespect, It's like, I mean, obviously, it's a step down from fucking, hitting somebody, but spitting in their face is like secondary. It's still abusive, no matter how, I mean, you fucking projectiling onto them to just because you're pissed off, Have your argument, say whatever you're going to say, don't go too crazy. Just say what you need to say about the situation, whatever your problem is, but there's no reason to spit in someone's fucking face, dude.
And retracts 4 or 5 steps back and has some type of episode, which I've never seen out of somebody before in my entire life, and then starts screaming and running around my house for help. And it alarmed my wife. She woke up, and she's like, what's going on? And I'm like, I've heard him scream for help before. I'm going to go see what's going on. But ultimately, I'm not 20 years old. I'm not going to turn.
Fuck, dude. Screaming for help. Yeah, that man needs help, dude. Somebody put that guy somewhere. If you're running around saying, I need help, help me, I need help, you're fucking fucked in the head. It's like Boogie. If y'all know that content creator, he just started screaming, I'm not okay. Can't you see I'm not okay? Help me. It's like, fuck, dude. But worse than that, you're running around doing all that in front of your wife. You're having a tantrum like a fucking child. What the fuck?
I'm not going to turn a blind eye to domestic violence. I'm not going to turn a blind eye to like improper behavior. When shit happens, you fucking handle it. And in that scenario, I didn't know what happened. I separated them. I brought them down to my studio. I asked them specifically, what the fuck is going on? And is there anything I need to know? And he was just like, oh, my marriage, this and that. And I'm like, cool. I go upstairs. I ask Danny, what's going on? She tells me the truth. I actually pull up the camera footage in front of her, and I see exactly what was said.
That's fucking crazy. Damn, dude. Holy shit, Ken. You saw exactly what was happening. What did you say earlier? It's like, I didn't know anything about the relationship. What the fuck, Ken?
He threw a fit. I was trying to calm him down, the whole 9. And to be totally honest with you, that's what fucking happened. Later on, he tried to change. I went back downstairs. I said, I'm disappointed in you. And he's like, I didn't spit on her face. I spit at her feet. And I'm like, why are you spitting in my house in general if you're going to lie about it, And the honest to God truth is, you're not going to insult me. I asked him to leave. Immediately, he left. And at that point, the rest is history. If Tim wants me to when I quit the band, he sent a message through his wife or through his wife's phone saying he would sue me if I ever released that footage because
release the footage, bro. Release the fucking footage. I want to see that. Fuck. I mean, that's fucked up. Sorry to Danny Lambesis, but that's fucking crazy, yo. What the fuck? But release it. Do it. Fucking.
He didn't know. He was filmed without consent, or he was posting up like Danny would sue me, his wife. Mm-hmm. But like ultimately, I'm not fucking scared. I have the receipts. If you want to, if with Tim's permission, if you want to check if I'm a credible source, if you want to see if I'm a upstanding person, I'll release it. If you want me to release it, that's fine, Tim. Like I have.
Fuck, let's go. You're calling him out, dude. Now he's called him out. He kind of revved himself up, man. He was okay for a little bit. He's trying to be like, he's my friend, my old friend, I just kind of joined and knew what I was getting into, but I still, did it anyway. And then I was surprised whenever he did something crazy. Yeah, there's something in accountability to be held for Ken for even being around that sort of person, I mean, yeah, he didn't say he never saw the behavior before. That was his first time seeing it, but bro, it's just, I mean, it happens in life, right? You meet people, you want to think they're a good person, and maybe in some ways they are, not everyone is like 100% bad, right? There's good things that people do, but then there's really fucking horrible things that people do. I mean, and it just depends on which one outweighs the other, But yeah, let's keep going, man. This is crazy.
No problem with it. But I'm not going to sit here and let you say things like, oh, Phil left the band and then, or you were really distant from the band and, everyone was like trying to pull you back in, but you were just in this place and blah, blah. You're creating a lie. You're creating a lie for the fan base, and it makes me look bad. It makes the guys look bad. You did something wrong. You have to own up to it. And that's what fucking happened. And to be honest with you, I sent the video to Phil, and I just said, Phil, you are the other like operating officer in this band. You are technically HR. I prefer you don't share this with anybody. But I just said, like, this, like, I have to quit the band. I'm out of here. I don't want to deal with this type of shit.
Fuck drama. Let's fucking go, dude. Damn, he's spilling the tea. He got fucking revved up, man. He got fucking ready to go. Ready to talk about this shit. Yep. Them's a break.
And then I also said that we had, like, money on the line for a tour and pyro and all this other shit. I said, I'll finish the tour. I'll do the European tour as long as, like, this guy has help and he goes to get help. I really didn't want to be a part of the project anymore, but I did understand, like, how much money was on the line for those guys. It's a big investment when you go overseas with, like, scrims and pyro and all this other crap and the deposits that are laid down. And I didn't want to leave them high and dry, even though the severity of the issue was, like, so serious. But I was willing to see through that. But by the time it went into the AsILaydying, like, band circle, that's when things, like, imploded. Nobody wanted to be a part of it anymore. They didn't care about the finances. They didn't care about anything. And that's really what went down, And, it is what it is. What am I, what am I going to say? I'm telling the truth. I just don't like the band broke up because of communication problems and everyone followed Phil or, Tim literally blew up the tours that I was supposed to be on, right? With all the income that I was going to make on that. I never got paid on royalties for the songs that I did write or help write on the record.
Damn, dude. Never got paid royalties? I mean, come on, man. You gotta have some, like, performance rights, right? Like, I guess I understand that people, they want to be like once you perform this on your own. But, I mean, come on, dude. Like, at least needs to get performance rights. He should get the total fucking royalties and writing the fucking song. But you didn't even get fucking fucking performance rights to be able to fucking play it live. So you're not getting paid when you play it live. If that's the case, you don't get paid for that. And then you don't get paid for whenever it gets played on fucking on a radio station or streaming, Fuck.
He threatens me, obviously, again, as I said, with a lawsuit if I talk about or, send footage around. That he obviously knew because I have cameras and, like in my common areas and a sign at the front door that he was being filmed and, basically lying to me about online. I've been in this business for 20 years, right? 20 years, 20 years and actually longer than him. And to portray the band and us, like, for leaving the way he did, I just don't think it's cool. And it is what it is. Just don't abuse your wife in my fucking house and put my integrity on the line.
Okay. That's what you should have said in the first place, man. Like, just come out with it, dude. Like, it was already circulating, It was already circulating online. People were already speculating that he was abusing her, and that's the reason why. It would have been not much of a shot or, like, it would have been a layup to just come out and say it, I don't think people would have denied it and stuff would have gone off anyway, I mean, obviously the video showed up of him, hitting himself, hitting his dogs, I mean, it's still all like abuse, you just can't do that, because you're doing something to someone, even though it's yourself, to get control of whatever is going on in the situation, to get them to love you. Just love me. Just love me. He's all fucking creating a song and shit and went to the fucking recording studio right after that and had a breakdown where he's just like, just love me. Just love me. Don't. Damn, dude. Oh, fuck. Ken Susi calling them out, dude. Fucking crazy.
And someone needs to say something. I don't feel like this is the, like,
No,
you know,
boy.
I didn't come on the show to intend to do so. But since we're in the moment, I'm going to fucking say it on your show over anybody else's, because I love you as a person and people do deserve to know. Don't subscribe to something that's not good. But again, I have the receipts.
I think a
Receipts,
bigger
motherfucker.
telling thing in
Post
that, and again, this is from my perspective. Actually, I'll kind of backtrack a little bit, kind of share something similar, because it not to the severity of what you went through, but I think there just becomes sort of this thing. And so like you were saying, you had something very, very joyous in your life between you and your wife and your family that you were sharing with everybody, and it's now tainted forever by this thing that happened to you that affected you professionally.
The thing that sucks about this is that, like, none of us ever, how to explain it? Like, the guys in the band, for instance, I'm not going to name names, but like, there's some really good people, right? A lot of really bad things happen to a lot of good people. Like, for instance, I don't have a band. Nick Pierce doesn't have a band. Ryan Neff's back to Miss May I and Phil's in Seosin. Like, my career is stunted. It was like literally overnight, right? And that kind
I'm sorry, Ken, but I mean, well, yes, he fucking went out and fucking abused his wife and shit. You joined knowing that he's overall an abuser, like what is what he did if not domestic violence, it all counts as domestic violence, right? Even if he's hurting himself, if he's hiring someone else to fucking hit her, or not hit her but kill her, yeah, it's kind of on you a little bit, bro. It's kind of a little bit on you.
that kind of fucking sucks. I got to rebuild. I got to figure something else or whatever else I'm going to do. But it's just not like ideal for people to like to play with their lives. And he keeps getting away with it. If you notice, like Nick Hippa and all those other guys left, there's things that are going on behind the scenes with even from the past members and him still to this day. And it's like no one's talking about anything, and no one's talking about, and that's totally fine. But all arrows point to the guy, right?
Yeah. Well, it goes back to the accountability thing.
Yeah, and people, and it's not anything that we haven't seen this. We haven't seen this type of stuff before. Like when we saw all the footage that came out online, like, we were disgusted. No one knew it was that bad. We just had an inkling that, like, hey, man, something's off. Like, this shit happens, right? Actually, you know what? I made a joke out of it, and I'll tell you the Ken Susi joke. And I even said this to Tim, because I heard a rumor that Tim was spreading around that, like, through a friend of a friend, like, well, supposedly. I don't know if he's been spreading it or somebody else, but it was like Ken said that, like, what happened in his house wasn't that bad. When he called me after, I had a real conversation with him. This is, and those of you that know my persona and who I am, this is a funny joke. Like, I said to Tim, like, hey, man, like, I don't know what your relationship is like in the bedroom. Maybe spitting's acceptable. I don't know. I'm not going to judge you for that. I said, it's not that bad. Like, this isn't a bad situation if you just say that. But what I saw after was very sad. And I really think you should get help. And I think you need help, and I just said, like, the band's probably going to break up over it. And that was it. And I told him I was okay to still do another tour. And you know what I mean? I said, I was being very upfront about my feelings, but ultimately, like, yeah, I said at one point, like, I don't know what your relationship's like. You guys might spit on each other every other day. I have no fucking clue. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what gets you guys off, but when you start screaming help and running around my house and you're throwing an emotional breakdown that I've never seen before. I in my heart, like deep in my heart, I felt like, God, like, this is one of the saddest things I've ever seen. That's the sad part, is like, I don't hate him for what he did. And I wasn't like, oh, this is what a jerk. And I'll never, those weren't my feelings. Were like, let me down, but it was also sad. And the thing is it's there's no accountability, and he's on a, in my perspective, he's on this cycle of just doing the same thing over and over and over. And I believe, like, it's like he's hiding in the hole until everybody accepts him again. And he's waiting to see if it's okay to come out, and he'll probably come out with a band, whatever it is, in the next couple of years or whatever. It's up to the fans to decide if they're willing to subscribe to it or not.
Don't do it, guys. I mean, there are still people seeing my comments when I make these videos that are trying their fucking very best to defend Tim, and it's like, dude, he's is fucking done, man. He's fucking done. It's just him. Everyone left. Here it is. Fucking Ken Susi is telling you what he's seen. Stop defending these guys. It's time, guys. It's time to let it go. I know we grew up with AsILaydying. Maybe that's why he was hard for him to let go of that staple, but and it's hard for the fans, but we got to, man. We got to. After a while, the songs kind of started sounding the same anyway. The last album I ever enjoyed was The Powerless Rise, and that's it. And then after that, it kind of started going to shit, and then after that, the whole thing happened, so it was a no-brainer to, like, just kind of stop listening to them. And there's a lot of bands out there, guys. A lot of new bands doing better stuff, So, yeah, please, no more subscribing to AsILaydying.
Witness it herself to be like, oh, is this a good place for my person to be? And the next thing you know, they wake up in the middle of the night to somebody screaming for help and breaking TVs with his head and running around the hotel and, and like having a domestic like disturbance event in
Damn, and he just barely mentioned the fucking TV. He fucking smashed the television with his fucking head. What the fuck?
in a hotel, and like it got really bad. One of my best friends and Phil, Otto, who passed away, they went down to handle the situation, and they handled it in the moment. But like there was a band meeting the next day. Like this is the first time anybody was ever like, this is something we can point to and say this is wrong. Because every other time it was like we're on the road and you hear someone screaming for help in the back lounge. And the first time I heard it, I said to Phil, like, what's going on? And Phil was like, oh, I don't know. I don't know. This might be a part of like his process, like, oh, let me go check and let me go calm him down. Let me go see what's going on. And then like later on, it was very, Phil would be like, everything's okay. We talked everything out. Everything's fine. It's just, a little domestic stuff, nothing crazy. And he never alluded to like knowing anything about like, real domestic problems. You know what I mean? On the road, if anything, it was like, arguments or.
Damn, tell me he did this all the time. Like it wasn't just this one instance. Because it seemed like he was just talking about one time, but now it seems like there's other times where Phil was there and just kind of acted like everything was cool. Damn, Phil. Yeah, he was definitely the longest standing member and really kind of tried to have his back, but yeah, that did not work out well for any of these guys,
or whatever. But there was plenty of times where there was like private meetings and people talking and whatever, and and all that stuff. But the Greece thing was like the point where we all saw something and it was very embarrassing, and we all sat him down and said, if this ever happens again, I think Ryan said it best. He said something like, if you ever cross like what I see is moral, I'll be gone before you even know I'm gone. Like you'll be like looking for me for the show and I'll be in my living room, kind of thing. and that's what I love about him. But I felt really bad that like, I mean, we all rebounded. Like we all went, we had the conversation and we still had a great vacation, and Tim and Danny were a part of the vacation. We didn't exclude them from any of the activities or anything like that. But, that was the warning. And unfortunately, later on, you're dealing with somebody who, posts a lot of blame to others, and you get to a point where it's like, how could you blame that person for not helping you when they're not equipped for help you, So yeah. It is what it is. And you know what? I'm fucking tired of talking about this shit, but I think one of the main drivers as to like why we're talking about this is because I went to a show. And one of the dudes I've known in the industry for a long time is like, I heard rumors that there was Tim punched your wife and all this crazy stuff happened. And I was like, dude, no. I said, none of that happened. There's other things that happen. I can't talk about it. But know that what you're telling me didn't happen. And I know there's a lot of people that are wondering what really did happen. And there's a lot of silence. And some of the silence also online is like, people like, how come no one's talking about it? Like, yeah, they don't understand that we cannot. But you know what? Yeah. Guess what? I'm an eyewitness to this shit. I'm not fucking scared. I have nothing to lose. I'm not saying anything that's not. I'm not saying anything that's illegal. This is my perspective. This is what I've witnessed. And at this point, I don't give a shit. Fucking old.
I'm calling him out. All right, I think that's enough. That's like over an hour of material. But that's pretty crazy, man. You know, witnessed some pretty crazy stuff. You know, I'm glad he came out and said something. You know, I think it was the right thing to do. Yes, he has some accountability and um, the situation in terms of being in a band with someone who is known to abuse women. So, I mean, and to have these fucking tantrums like a little fucking kid, you know, it's like, dude, handle your shit, go get fucking therapy, chill, you know, fucking get help, man. Like, I imagine touring and stuff like that is always just, it's probably just mentally taxing. So, yeah, Unearth Ken Susi coming out speaking out against Tim Lambesis, saying, "I'm not scarred. Do whatever you're gonna fucking do, bro." That's fucking crazy. But yeah, yeah. Who knows what's gonna happen? Maybe one day he'll find his way back to Unearth with his old buddies. For now, I guess he's just kind of chilling. But hopefully we'll see him in the future. Maybe a new band, I guess. You know. Um, yeah, I think his guitar work kind of got maybe a little bit canceled out, and AsILaydying anyway. I feel like everything was more just AsILaydying ish, you know, when I listened to the latest stuff. So I think maybe it's better for him maybe to join the group and have be able to actually put his style into it, you know. But all right, guys. Thanks for tuning in to the Metal Nerd Radio Show. This will be on Spotify and YouTube. Do not forget to subscribe and like the video, of course. Thank you for hanging on through this ordeal. But yeah. All right. Peace out, homies. Peace.